Hello, I'm Ochi, and welcome to Speaking About Everything. Well, my guest is a very interesting guest. He was here a little over a year ago, and he's back. It's quite an interesting lady. My guest is the MP, it's Veronica Jansen-Webster. How are you doing, man?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, how things go with you?
So far, so good. I mean, we just completed 1 year in Parliament, so that's something new for me. I've never been on the legislative side. I've always been in execution, working for ministers, and then later as a minister myself for a short while. So it's completely different, but it was very interesting.
You have a quite incredible career in government in terms of your knowledge and so forth. Do you think people realize that?
I'm not sure because I think a lot of people maybe forgot me. I started in 2000. I came home from the Netherlands in 2000. I started in economic affairs.
Right.
In there, I did research, so economic research. I later went on to tourism. I did tourism research, specifically in the tourism department. I went to work in social affairs with poverty alleviation. There was a specific project that the Dutch was given funding for poverty alleviation on all the islands, and I did that there. And then after that, I went to work for commissioners and ministers. So I was always in the cabinet working as an advisor in the cabinets.
You was also the first woman to be the chief operation officer for a power company, which is Gebe. That's remarkable in itself.
Yeah, that is so. That was in 2016. Then I became the COO of Gebe, and I did it for 4 years.
And that was at a very crucial time in the history of that company.
It was.
People don't realize that.
Yeah, because in 2017 we had the hurricane. So within our first year, we had the major hurricane, and a lot was destroyed, and we had to come back from that. So it was a lot of hands-on work. It was really intense.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to work for 3 years because we had a contract for 3 years, and it went on to be for 4 years. And actually since then there has I would nearly say that there has not been another director, but there was a COO for a little while after that. But there's still no stable directors, statutory directors appointed there as yet. So it was a very intense period. I mean, if I look back, my son, he speaks about it, and so people ask him.
That was a rough period. Huh?
Yes, people ask him, so is this job tough for your mother, meaning the parliament job? He said, oh no, this is nothing for her. He said I saw how she worked in Gebe, and she's a lot more relaxed now. So,
I think what happened with GBE, the period that the company was in was so bad for the company, and the image and how the public saw it, and then you all coming in and turning that around, and being a woman, not being an engineer, and having to do all. It's remarkable.
And then, it was 3 of us. We had the CEO, Mr. Chittick, and the CFO, Iris Arundel, and I think the 3 of us together. We were 3. We used to say we were 3 country St. Martin people. We were 2, one from the region, one from Mount William, and they would say I'm from French Quarter. So we were really just down to earth St. Martin people, and they had 20 plus years, nearly 30. They made like 30 years when we were in the company. So they knew the company in and out. I came in from the outside, but I came in from working in energy in the cabinet of the Minister of Romy at the time. So I came in with that knowledge, with having been to various conferences and etc. about energy. So I learned a lot like that before I came in. So in there, then, I went through a whole training. I went through a training on my own, but also the company provided training for us as well. So that helped. And of course, the workers of Gebe, we don't underestimate them, because they really put in their all, and that will help any director. Anyone who comes into Gebe, once you can work with those workers, you will get your job done.
And they love the work.
They love their work,
proud
yeah.
about it. Yeah. The only problem is the problems that have happened over the years and all of the different political influences that has created issues for the company. And now that you are a member of parliament, you also serve as Minister of Visa and Deputy Prime Minister. You have the experience when you was Deputy Prime Minister, so there was a crisis.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's when the engines caught fire.
Yeah.
I was here. The Prime Minister was away in Washington securing funding with together with NRPB. So I was on the ground. I had to deal with that, and I mean, in a way, it came out good because I knew the company.
Because of your background?
Because of being COO, I knew that what it meant to have those two engines on fire, and knowing that one of the larger engines was already down with a crankshaft.
So imagine if you wasn't CEO before, what would have happened at that time?
Yeah, it's true. Everything happens for a reason. I've seen my whole life, everything happens for a reason. Because I mean, running Gebe, the COO part, was not easy. But if I look at my life before and what I went through in Holland and etc., it built me up to be able to handle that.
No, it's amazing because I was thinking the pressure that you had to endure, most women can't stand up to that kind of pressure.
Well,
especially when it comes to a company like GB.
I will disagree only because I went through it and I was able to, to withstand it. But it's you need to keep your head on, and I think in any top function, you sacrifice a lot of family.
Yeah, that's true.
In order to do it.
Yeah. And people don't realize that.
People don't realize that. And as women, then you wouldn't want to sacrifice too much. And I did have to sacrifice a little bit with my son and with my husband. But I think they understood what I was trying to do. So, and now with the job that I have now in Parliament, I think they have more of my time and they understand me.
Yeah. So when you look at the island now and seeing what's happening, and you mentioned you came back from the Netherlands in 2000, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 25 years later, a lot of things have changed.
A lot has changed. I think what I noticed a lot of is all of the development that's going up, and I don't mind the development as much as I ask myself, what are we getting back from it as a country? Because if we're doing development and it's primarily for condos and people are renting those out on Airbnb, etc., we are not getting that revenue. So with that, I have, when I was a minister as well, I have always been a proponent of having some kind of Airbnb tax. Yeah. And I know that the Minister of Finance is working on it, because we need to have a fair situation where the hotels pay and also the other rooms for rent pay as well, because it's already in the law. So we should be collecting it.
So the legislation is there.
The legislation
even for
is
Airbnb?
there. Airbnb is there, yes, because it's just room nights.
Tax,
yeah, it's there. It's just how will you collect it? Because I think the issue was Airbnb didn't want to just give over the information. Right. But when I look at it, I was like, maybe we could do it a different way, because I did do some research into that, because I was also head of statistics department just before becoming minister, and we did the census. And when we did the census, we came across so many of the houses that were basically Airbnb.
It's
a lot. We have really a lot. And then there are these companies that can sell you the information about, because they do web scraping.
Oh, okay.
And so they can tell you exactly where all of them are, and they put them on the map for you. And when we superimpose their map on our census map, we could see exactly the same places where we found them, where they are. So there are so many, and it's the web scraping companies can also give us the amount that comes in per year. St. Martin generates a lot of money off of that. And I
the
think
government isn't getting nothing.
Government is not getting much. If people are honest, they declare it. But government is not systematically getting that. And I think that will help when you hear that government, let's say, is low on funds and also funds for marketing the island. If we could get some of that, we can market the island, we can do more for social investments. So that, I think, is one thing that I have noticed since I've come back. If you ask about, in general, like how I feel the island is now, I know because on my days that I don't have parliament meetings, I go out and try to meet as many people as possible. And when I meet people, the main thing is this Gebe bill.
Oh, boy.
It's really
killing people.
It's killing people. And even if people have a payment arrangement, they have to pay the payment arrangement and they have to pay their regular bill.
Right.
And then it becomes so much, and it's just, to me, unfortunate that in the 2 to 3 years that they were not getting, the 2 years that they did not get a bill, that some people did not pay, even though they were told, to pay. And that is what now is burdening them down.
But I also noticed to be that some people, when they pay, and I experienced this myself, you pay on account.
Yes.
Then the procedure that Gebe uses is very confusing.
Yes.
They decide how they're going to select that money from account and where they're going to put it. And then it creates a problem.
Yes.
And if you have 4 or 5 accounts with the company, like how I have in businesses, it creates a challenge for you because you're paying, and then all of a sudden, December, you didn't pay, you have to go back and look for all this.
Exactly.
It's difficult.
And I had the same thing.
Okay.
And I had, I always tell my former colleague Iris, I told her she gave me high blood pressure because I was paying every month. And the good thing was I was paying online. So it wasn't that they could say, or I could say I lost my receipt or anything, because I was paying online, so I could go back and show them, no, this is the bill you gave me, and I paid this, and I paid that, So I was paying online just blindly, and then when I got all my bills, I put all of them together, and I said, Gebe owe me 1,000. I got a bill for 4,000. I was like, this can't be possible. And then you have to sit down with them and go through everything, and at the end they told me, oh no, those are not your actual bills. We did a recalculation, and you didn't get your bill? And I was like, how you mean I didn't get I got this? No, but we sent new bills, and I didn't get those new bills. So the first set of bills that they gave us were just an estimate. And the real bill was a lot higher.
But you're a member of parliament, and you're in a coalition government with 4 political parties.
Yes.
I think the people of St. Martin they're disappointed. They've always been disappointed in the political establishment. But sometimes they have the justification for that disappointment, especially when it comes to Gebe. Something have to be done.
Yeah.
It can't be that all of the people of St. Martin is wrong and Gebe is right when it's the other way around. And how you feel about it? How your party feel about it? You're a member of the URSL.
Yes, I can tell you what I am proud of the Prime Minister with is that he's the one who took it upon himself to involve the BTP.
Okay.
And then BTP brought in the RAC from Curacao. Right. So at least some kind of research was done. And when having worked, on that top level already in the cabinets, I don't think that another minister would have brought out some of those findings, because those findings were really bad when you looked at how the calculations are being done nowadays. So the findings were not they were really they stood out. But he brought them out. He brought it out and he put it on the table. And I know that he has indicated that based on the findings, they are going to adjust how the calculations are being made, because one of the main things that people talk about is the fuel clause.
Oh, that's
and the fuel clause, you're basically paying what Gebe is paying for the fuel that they buy. And then when you see, and what I did is I put all of the fuel clause in a graph, and so I could see where it goes up, comes down, and you could see that after 2020, you could see that Sol had some really large increases in the amount that they were charging, and that part is not regulated. We regulate when you're selling gasoline, this is the maximum price, but we don't regulate what's the maximum price that Sol can charge Gebe for the fuel.
Okay.
You know, so those kind of things.
Based on the market price at the time?
It's market price, but there's also a markup.
Right.
They also do a markup.
So they have to be limited
their
on
markup,
their markup.
Yeah, their markup is not regulated.
Oh, okay.
They can put whatever they want, kind of, because they have the monopoly now as well. Because before you had Sol and you had Texaco, but Sol bought over the Texaco that was there. So they have more of a monopoly, and you can see it in the report that that's one of the recommendations. So if the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers can agree to follow those recommendations, and I think the other parliamentarians from opposition, etc., I know MP Utley worked on legislation regarding this, but it's all the things that were said in the report as well. So if these things can be implemented, you have also the net losses, so the energy that's lost over the grid with transferring energy from the power station to the homes. That used to be very high, and because of some adjustments that were made to the grid when I was in there, you saw where the net losses were halved. So there's a saving there. And when I was a minister still, I suggested that to Gebe. I said, try give back something by giving back the difference in the net losses. Put the actual losses in your calculation instead of having, let's say, the inflated loss.
Did they do that?
They didn't. And so when you ask me what's my opinion, I think that there should be something given back from Gebe, because the problem originated in Gebe, which was the hack. It happened there. And everything that happened after was because of this and because of the time that it took them to get back up. So to me, they should give something back to the people, and also spread the payback time for the old bill, spread that out, make it more manageable.
Or write off part of it, maybe.
And write off part of it. Take take that on them as
a loss, and then write it off in the books.
And I know that from if I'm in Gebe, I need to look at from Gebe's perspective, and they may look at it, but then we'll have a loss, etc. But there should be a calculation that they can do and say, listen, we can afford this part here, and then they take ownership of their failure as well, because it was a failure for not having the right let me say firewalls, etc., in place that hack could come in.
I didn't want to touch on that, but since you mentioned it, that hack would have never happened if things was done at the time when you was there, in terms of how to close that back door. It was never done.
And I can remember clearly, and you were on the board then when we were looking at the back door. You were the one who brought up we have to close the back door. And when we went to the IT people who were there at the time, they indicated that everything was okay, etc. And then right after that, we had a mini hack. To me, they were testing the waters then, because I remember that being it was on a May 3rd. It was right like the last day of Carnival, and I think on that day it was like me alone on the island as well then too for GBE when we had this infiltration into the system. And based on that, we took it very seriously, and we had 2 different cybersecurity companies come in to do assessments. They gave us everything that had to be done. We gave that then to the management, the IT management, to secure. I know I personally, we fought to have the audit of the IT done, those kind of things. And when we left them busy with it or having done most of it.
And that took place after yours, right?
And after we left, I think it was like 2 years after is when the hack took place. But when we were there, we gave them a list of everything according to our cybersecurity people that had to be closed. And I know that Mr. Chitik was in charge of that, and he was on them to make sure that all of those back doors were closed. So for me, it was a surprise to see that it still happened, and also to hear that there was no backup, because that was part of the strategy that we had. There was the backup was in a server in another area. There were even, I think with the CFO, had to have these backups at all times as well. Periodically, she would have to get these backups to go home with. So there was a whole process that was put in place, and I think that after we left, maybe it wasn't followed anymore.
Look at this fell apart. Yeah. It's unfortunate. So had they done that, we would have never had that hack, right?
No, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been possible.
I got to go to a quick break. In case you just joined us, I'm Moji here with MP Jansen-Webster. She's my guest, and when we come back, we're going to continue speaking with her right here on Speaking of Everything YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, we conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Banco Matico Plus with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Banco Matico Plus, more of the best.
My guest here on Speaking of Everything is Member of Parliament, MP Jansen-Webster, and we're here speaking with her about her job as an MP. She served as a minister for a short time. It's amazing. It looks like wherever you go, you have to confront some big problems.
Yeah.
But things are good now, right?
Yeah, I think in Parliament it's a lot different. I mean, we did do a small training in legislation, like the first week in Parliament, which I think was good, where they brought in former greffiers, so former secretariat, and also we had, like, for instance, Dr. Nilda Adain came in too. So we learned a lot there. And I think one of the things that I liked a lot from that training was that they told us to do research when you want to bring legislation. Because sometimes you want to bring something, but you don't know if that is good for the community or if the community is feeling the necessity for that. And so that's one thing that I try to do in my work now, hence the reason that I go out and meet the people. One of the projects that I was working on was with the amputees. As I try to find projects or just issues in the community that nobody has touched or they are not really looking into. Yeah. And so the amputees, I find, was a forgotten group.
It's a lot of them, man.
It's a lot.
And it's growing.
It's a lot, really. And
caused by diabetes, right?
A lot is diabetes, but you also have the motorbike accidents.
Oh, okay.
And you have there are other issues, but a lot of it has to do with diabetes. But my issue is that people are not getting the prosthetics that they need. Yeah. And that I mean, because we don't have a prosthetic company here on the Dutch side. And so they have to wait for someone to come from Curacao, attached to the White and Yellow Cross, and then they come in periodically, and then they check them, and then they are the only ones that SZV works with. And I think the cost, when I was looking at cost, it was around something like $7,000 for like on average or so. I was coming up to for prosthetic with them. And I found out that on the French side, you could get for around $5,000. But we are not using the French side.
Why?
And that's my question. So that was a letter that I addressed to the Minister of VSA recently, asking him to look into the possibility of using the French side, because it's right there. People can drive across and get measured and get one-on-one.
I won't put you on the spot, but I had a talk with someone at the SZV, and I was very clear that there's a corruption taking place when it comes to that particular issue, because I have a family member with that problem. And if we don't remove that layer of apparent corruption in SZV, it's going to hurt our people, because they're paid to get that service over the years working. So why is it I can walk the marigold and I can't get a prosthesis? I have to depend on some smart guy in SZV to decide when that company is coming from Curacao. I have to go through the White and Yellow Cross. Sorry to say, but it appears there is some kind of corruption or curry favor taking place.
Well, I don't know about that part, but what I have identified is that the French company is there, and we can use it just like how we used to send people to do their eyes on the French side. We can send people to do it there, because one person explained it to me. He said, it's like, I have a car, I have a flat tire, but I have to wait till next month until somebody comes to fix my tire. He said, but now this is not a tire. This is my leg that I need to use every day to walk. I need it at all times. But now I have to wait. Or I'm like,
wait so long.
Yeah, you have to wait so long, or you're in a wheelchair, and like nobody is watching at you. Whereas if you had that money cash, or if you could get somebody to help you pay for it, you could go to the French side and get it done, and you get a very decent prosthetic. And I must mention, I went around with a young man who came back from studying prosthetics, a local young man. His mother was a teacher.
He's still in Simran?
Yes, his mother was a teacher at Orania School. Yeah. And his grandfather was the former principal of Orania School, and his father is a contractor here in St. Martin, is a cousin of mine. And so Brandon Webster's his name. So he studied prosthetics. So that's why he approached me about it. And I told him, I'm not minister anymore, but I can maybe guide you in how you can help the people, because he said he wants to help the people. And he reminded me that his grandfather, which was my uncle, was a double amputee. He reminded me of that, and I was like, it's true. Uncle really was, an amputee. And he said because of that, seeing his grandfather, he wants to give back. He wants to help the people, because there are people who are losing income now because of this. Because there's a taxi driver, he can't drive anymore because he can't get that prosthetic. Whereas I know growing up, not only my uncle, I had a cousin, I had other family members who were amputees, who lived a normal life. They drove, they did everything. But here, you become like handicapped, you become put on the side, and it's not necessary.
You can be still productive.
So that's one thing that I'm championing. I didn't receive an answer back from the minister yet, so I'm waiting on that, and then to see how we can move forward. If necessary, what I'm trying to do is get people together. If they can contact me, as many amputees, get them together, because if they form a group, then we can apply the pressure and get them seen.
I miss the old days of politics. Listening to you there, because in the old club days, you're in the same party, and this is the same party for business.
Yeah.
I just walk home and tell him what the situation is, and most likely he will do it.
Yes.
I mean, they know you have
yeah,
to.
it's a lot of
regulations.
Yes.
You just can't do it like that. I understand.
It's a lot more bureaucratic.
Yeah.
I mean, with all of them, we're in a coalition, but you still have to like formally ask them certain things. Yeah,
the whole procedures are
some I mean it's not like they just do things like go I can't go over there and say I want you to do that, and it's also not in me, because I'm not going to go and sit on your seat,
right.
So
it's, and the people of Samad in the end they are paying the price for the whole bureaucracy and procedure that are taking place. So any other surprise you had since you remember Parliament?
No, I mean
so
like I
said,
good. I'm in coalition. Yeah. Our main thing is budget that we approve, and we have to have oversight over the ministers. So I try to follow everything that they are doing. If I see something that needs handling, and I can give an example. For instance, when I first came in, we had this garbage situation where garbage wasn't being picked up in some areas, and I learned from being in the cabinet that if you want something done, you keep hammering on it, and I kept hammering on the garbage, and I must say I see an improvement in the garbage being picked up.
That's true.
But the minister had to take a drastic measure, which was, I think, never done before, where he had to take away a contract from one of the haulers. But you can see a difference since. So I think that I have been able to push certain things. One of the things that I fought for too was the Asikuda program, which is a program for the customs department. Because then when you get those numbers in, then you can improve the calculations that the statistics department does, for instance, with the GDP. Also, all of that can be improved, and I fought for that when I was in the statistics department. I fought for it when I was a minister. I fought for it in Parliament, and recently, when we got a breakdown of the different projects that are being funded, I heard that the Asikuda they're ready to buy it now. They're ready to get the program. It's a program used all over the Caribbean. It's even used in Saba. And then when you hear opponents say, but our shipping agency can't handle it, our shipping agency is the hub for the other islands that are handling it. So they can adjust it and handle it here.
Definitely.
And then we will have more transparency in our operations on the island. So.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in and be my guest, and your first year. And I'm thinking how I ask you this question. You think it's going to make it through another 3 years, this coalition?
Well, I think that having 4 parties come together is always tough, and will be tougher to keep together than 2 or to keep together than 3. So I think that it will depend a lot on how people want to work together, and how much. It is going to boil down to love of St. Martin. If you really want to work together and make sure that St. Martin goes forward, we're going to stick together. But I don't think it's easy, because you have different thoughts and different priorities. You have that because there are 4 parties. But I think that we can come together and do it for St. Martin and stick together. I think so.
All right. So again, I want to thank you for coming and being my guest today. Right?
Okay. You're welcome.
Success.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
MP Jansen-Webster on Speaking of Everything. I'll see you next time on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. Take care. Bye.